they've got to be able to support their families. You know, we have officers that can't even qualify for apartments because their income doesn't match up with what the apartments require.
For decorated officers like newly retired Atlanta police officer Tyrone Dennis, his pay didn't keep up with his career.
It would be foolish for me to stay for $48,000 when I have a wife and 3 kids to feed. For $48,000, I can almost, and a family with 3 kids, I can almost qualify for public assistance.
Well, one former police chief took a stand against the tides of change. But when his fight for justice fell on deaf ears, he made a decision that impacted the entire community.
In 2019, I was appointed the police chief in Blue Mound. There were lots of people dealing drugs, car theft, house burglaries, and we were able to make it a much safer neighborhood. In 2022, the city council and the mayor informed me that $200,000 would be cut from the budget, and they were considering outsourcing dispatch. I knew that if we were going to outsource dispatch, it was going to be dangerous for my officers to be out there. In September of 2022, the mayor called a special meeting about cutting dispatch. So I had posted on the PD Facebook page for people to show up and support us. When I posted that, I had received an email from the mayor. She was very upset, and she told me to take it down immediately. At the special meeting, all the officers had a chance to speak in support of dispatch, and I spoke at the end, and I knew I was fighting a losing battle, so I took my badge off and put it on the mayor's desk and just turned around and walked out. It was very tough. I felt like there was a huge lack of respect towards me from the mayor, and we had done so much for this community. After I resigned, the budget for the police department was still cut by 20%. The city now currently has a higher crime rate. The citizens are concerned because there's no officers patrolling the streets. What I see now is the police department's short-staffed, and it's hard for them as officers to go out and do their job.
Well, Dusty, thanks for being here. When you took your stand, they were going to take dispatch away, and that would create what problem?
A lack of communication between the officers and the dispatch. Could be an officer safety issue. They were also considering cutting 2 police officer positions, which would have meant we would have went from having 2 to 3 officers working at one time to only 1 officer, which is what they have now, is 1 officer.
And they ultimately did that?
Yes.
So you got officers out there by themselves, no backup, no nothing if something...
And you can call for a neighboring agency, but they may not be available, or it may take them a while to get there for assistance. But they're working alone.
Yeah. Is that safe?
Absolutely not.
Who made the decision, and with what expertise? Was this a political decision?
So the mayor hired a part-time budget consultant, and that budget consultant came in and said there's a budget crisis and we have to cut from the police department, dispatch. They considered outsourcing the fire department as well. They haven't done that, but they considered it. So that budget consultant ultimately advised the mayor to cut these positions.
That budget consultant ever been on a domestic violence call?
No police experience whatsoever.
You've looked to find work with police departments elsewhere?
Yeah, I've applied at multiple agencies since leaving about 1.5 years ago, but I just recently found out that the mayor filled my personnel file full of negative documentation. So, yeah. So I've been rejected by all of them.
And you think it's because you defied her?
Absolutely, yeah.
What did she put in the file, do you know?
I finally got the open records request. I got it just a month ago. Mm-hmm. But just negative emails or us talking about this back and forth and just things that doesn't make me look good. Unnecessary things that didn't need to be in there, but put it all together and it doesn't look good.
But you still want to serve?
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to talk about that some more. Coming up, a sheriff who says small towns are really in trouble when it comes to police protection. We're going to find out why. Struggling with foot, knee, or back pain? G-Defy shoes can change your life. G-Defy shoes are FTC approved to relieve pain caused by weight-bearing activities like walking, running, or prolonged standing. G-Defy absorbs harmful shock and returns energy to each step. This means better body alignment and improved biomechanics. Translation? Freedom to do what you love pain-free. G-Defy shoes have your back. Literally. They're a game changer for seniors and veterans who deserve comfort and support. Here's the deal. You can try G-Defy risk-free with a 60-day trial. And right now, listeners of this podcast get an exclusive offer. 50% off orders of $120 or more. Just text Dr. Phil to 91888. That's right. Half off shoes designed to improve your quality of life. So take control of your life. Text Dr. Phil to 91888 or visit gdefy.com today. It's time to feel good again because you deserve it.
More shootings and more 911 calls have police departments around the country struggling to meet the growing need with departments stretched thin. The worker shortage is already disrupting public safety around the country by causing delays in law enforcement response times and a reduction in detectives working cases. In Portland, Oregon, they are short 108 officers. In Dallas, they are short 550 officers. And in Kansas City, Missouri, they are short some 224 officers.
Every police department is looking for the same group of talented, motivated individuals that have a heart to serve.
Well, Bill Wayburn is sheriff of one of the largest counties in the nation and says he is often contacted when small-town police departments are stretched thin and their budgets have just run dry. You do what you can, right? It's difficult.
It can be very difficult with our situation where we have long response times to inner cities or to cities that suddenly are found that they only have one officer on duty where we go. That response time can be very long from a county perspective.
You're sheriff at Tarrant County, and you've got 1,700 personnel, 190 in detention officers, 5 jails. I mean, you got a lot going on.
We got a little bit going on.
Why is this happening, in your opinion?
I think that the American people, one of the things that they don't understand is that the American police themselves better than any profession in the nation, including the clergy and certainly attorneys. And they forget that when we have bad apples, when bad things happen, is it's their fellow peers that are filing those criminal charges on them. And no other profession you're going to find that. So they take off with rumors and propaganda that's certainly not true, or that first story that comes out of a shooting or that first story that comes out of a death situation, and they run with it, and they have no idea, the media has no idea what they're saying is causing the havoc that it is. But certainly some of those solutions also was in pay, and in Texas the pay has skyrocketed to medium-sized and large cities, which makes it very difficult for small towns to keep up.
Yeah, they're just not competitive.
Yeah.
And what some people don't understand is that nationwide, the number of officers assaulted, shot, or killed in the line of duty just doesn't get much press. Because in 2021, there were 346 officers shot, 64 died. 126 during disturbance calls or traffic stops, 107 were just outright ambushed,
right,
and 32 died. And Texas ranks number 1.
Yes.
There were 43 shootings of officers in Texas. In 22, 331 officers were shot, 62 died, 126 ambushes.
Yes.
Just where they just straight up ambushed an officer, and 32 died. In 2023, 378 officers were shot, 46 died, 115 in ambushes. So this is a dangerous job.
Very dangerous.
That you guys are out there doing.
Absolutely.
Having spent over 45 years in psychology, I've worked with law enforcement in crisis situations before. I think law enforcement officers should have one job, and that is to get control of dangerous situations.
Amen.
I don't think officers should come in and try to be social workers, therapists, or whatever. I think that is a damn good way to get yourself and citizens shot. In my opinion, your job is to suppress dangerous behavior and get that under control as quickly and safely as possible. Am I wrong about that?
You're absolutely right, is that we need to train people to stand between evil and good and then let somebody else sort out the evil after we've got control over it. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. What are the solutions to making our police departments a priority for our communities? We'll talk about that next.
Less people want to become cops and more cops wanting to leave the job earlier. It's a trying time to be a police officer in this country, and that's the challenge.
This profession is something we were all called to do. And not everyone is meant to be the police, and that's fine. But this profession is certainly a noble one.
Are you ready to jumpstart your health in 2025? Lumen can help. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It measures your metabolism through your breath and via the app tells you whether you're burning fat or carbs. It then provides tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management. Start your day by breathing into Lumen to check your metabolism. Based on your results, it gives you a personalized nutrition plan for the day. You can also use it before and after meals or workouts to understand how your body responds in real time. Your metabolism is your body's engine. Optimizing it can lead to better energy, easier weight management, improved fitness, and more. Take the next step towards better health. Visit lumen.me/Dr. Phil for 20% off your Lumen.
I've never seen the morale so low. I've never seen the ranks so low. I've never seen the level of violence that we're seeing now.
Basically, we're one bullet away from death and one mistake away from indictment.
I listen to both sides of all arguments. The police departments are not perfect. I don't know of any profession that is perfect. I don't do a perfect job up here. Police don't do a perfect job out there. But as the sheriff says, it's one of the few that really polices themselves. And I've said for a long time, I'm very strong in support of law enforcement. I've said we've got issues in this country. That's the title of my book, We've Got Issues. And I think one is that the vast majority, the middle of this country, sometimes is not vocal enough and let the fringes hijack the narrative. And I think the narrative has been hijacked about law enforcement in this country, and the 80% of us in the middle need to stand up and say, no, that's not right. We support our police department. And I certainly do, and I've made no bones about that. Might as well just... might as well just come out. Joining us from the audience is Corporal Dixon. Her recruiting agency is doing a lot to engage the community and youth. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There's a lot to be said for creating that relationship, engaging with the people, particularly the young people, yes, and overcoming some of this narrative that's been hijacked. Is that working?
I think it's working. We have a really good community backing in Fort Worth. We do a lot with our community, and we do some stuff with Tarrant County as well. We have a lot of programs for the youth. We have a lot of mentorship programs, a lot of programs where they can come and work with us, the cadet program, the Explorer program. Operation Progress is a really good mentorship program. We have a PAL, which is a police athletic league, where we sponsor children who are unable to afford to play sports. So we are trying to be very active with our youth because they are the next generation of police officers, teachers, nurses, whatever.
Right. And You know, we have a series within the series here at Dr. Phil for years and years, and we're continuing with Dr. Phil Primetime called Behind the Badge. And we want to personalize and humanize these officers because it's easy to demonize officers if you don't really know who they are. And realize these are moms and dads and sons and daughters. They're caring people just like everybody else. And also joining us from the audience is former Chief of Police, Dr. Theron, who has over 3 decades of law enforcement experience and says it's time to modernize staffing police functions. So thank you for being here as well, Doctor. What do you think is important to focus on?
When I look at police departments around the country, often I'm embarrassed when I look at the technology that they have, when I see the investments in quality staffing and quality equipment. I think it's time, you know, as we look to change the narrative in policing, that we start to invest in the police like our lives depend upon them.
Amen.
Well, and I have a question for all of y'all that's, I think is really critical when we come back right after the break. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today. We're back, and we're talking about law enforcement in the United States. Listen, I'm a big proponent of the First Amendment. I think people have the right to say what they want to say. They have the right to be wrong. They have the right to be loud. They have the right to do whatever they want to do. But we also have the right to choose what we want to listen to and what we don't want to listen to, and we have the right to speak up as well. And We've got a lot of people out there that are bad-mouthing law enforcement like they're a bunch of jackbooted thugs running around being badge-heavy. And listen, you can find bad examples in every profession, and you can focus on that and blow it up. And I'm not saying that there aren't mistakes that have been made in law enforcement. No profession operates at a level of perfection. What we strive for is excellence, not perfection. And what's happening now, because there's this zeitgeist of negativity about law enforcement, jobs are hard to fill, so standards are being lowered. How do you guys feel about lowering the standards?
It's such a terrible idea, right, Sheriff? To lower the standards for a profession that people are saying cops need to be better educated and better trained. Remember, we have to go out there and potentially utilize deadly force. Do you want somebody doing that who really isn't properly prepared, doesn't have the proper background, isn't properly trained? But when we talk about defunding, Dr. Phil, that one of the first things to go is training.
What do you think about lowering the standards?
Absolutely against it. We've been blessed in Tarrant County that we have not lowered standards during, even though that we're short of staff, we haven't lowered, we've refused to do that. And I think what Dr. Bowman was leading to, not to put words in his mouth, but as we improve that staff, we need to think about raising standards so that we don't have bad cops.
I've actually written about raising standards. I think we elevate, we educate to elevate, we raise standards. You know, our inclination when times get tough is to make cuts. I think for policing, when times get tough, that's a signal that we need to invest. We need to raise standards. We need to make sure that we get the best quality in law enforcement and that we're able to attract the best and the brightest into the profession. We do that with higher.
Absolutely.
Do you agree?
Yeah. And when I took over in 2019, we were short-staffed, and I had to hire some people that had red flags. And those were people I shouldn't have hired. We had issues with them, and it was a problem. So I ended up having to get rid of them.
And you know, there are some departments in the country that are hiring illegal immigrants, that are hiring people with some criminal backgrounds as police. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but I don't think I want to give somebody a badge and a gun that was on the other side of the badge and the gun year before last.
That's a good point.
Absolutely.
We need to encourage people to change their attitudes about this. And I said, I don't pass officers without speaking to them and thanking them for doing their job. And I think we should all do that. We need to let them know that that narrative that's getting the most play on the internet and social media and all is not speaking for all of us, because I don't think it's speaking for all of us.